You know the moment I knew I made it as a social media marketer? It was when I was living in Turkey. I went to live there for a couple of years while I was building my business because it was just really cheap to live and it just gave us the space that we needed. And we also wanted, you know, the excitement and the adventure. But that's besides the point. I remember being in Antalya and I was on call with my family, with my dad. And I remember he was having like sort of a party at his house of like around 20 people, all my family members. And I remember feeling quite left out because they were having so much fun without me. And one of my little sisters, I could hear her in the background and she was like, "Oh, Dad, can we get desserts?" And my dad was like, no, it's too expensive. And so what I did, I went to Uber Eats and I literally went and I spent around 150 or 200 pounds on desserts for 20 people. I got those, you know, those big dessert boxes, those premium dessert boxes with like all the dips and the strawberries and the waffles and the brownies and the crepes. And I didn't grow up coming from money, so kind of splashing that amount of cash was sort of a big deal in my family. I didn't tell everyone, I just told one of my siblings, like, to keep it as a surprise. And then she had me on call when the desserts arrived and I could hear like my entire family in the background, like my cousins and my siblings and family members just be like, "Oh my god, like, Nyla, did you order all of this? Like, oh, so expensive, like, thank you so much." And they were just so appreciative for what I did. And it was one of the best feelings for me because number one, I was far away and I was missing them to death. I hadn't seen them for like a year. And number two, the craziest part about that whole situation was it didn't really even leave a dent in my wallet. It wasn't a massive expense for me. It was something that I could do pretty much easily without too much thought. And that was the first time I ever had that experience or that feeling in my life. Like, I was always really, really frugal with money because I grew up understanding that money is scarce and there's not a lot of money in the world and we need to save and stack up our money and not spend too much. You know, that's kind of how it is growing up, and everyone sort of holds on to money and we don't really splash cash like that ever. So it was just an amazing moment for me, and that was sort of when I first felt like, wow, this is actually paying off and I've done something that can not only change my life, but it can change the lives of my family members too.